The first 216 chapters of One Piece are okay. They're fine. There's some fun adventures, some heart-wrenching moments, and some interesting mysteries to be solved. But that's all it is. Early One Piece isn't exactly generic, and you can already see some of the major strengths that the series will lean into over time, but it isn't anything spectacular. Where early One Piece really starts to show its weakness is in the meandering nature of the plot. It hits a sour spot between episodic and serialized, where it gets the drawbacks of both and the benefits of neither. One Piece starts with Luffy's backstory and shows him building out the very beginning of his crew. First he picks up Zoro, who serves as his right hand and another powerful combatant, then they grab Nami to navigate for them, and to serve as the brains for Luffy and Zoro's combined brawn. After a navigator, they need a ship, and when they obtain their caravel, the Merry-Go, it comes packaged with Usopp. Finally, before heading after the One Piece in earnest, they decide to get a cook for the crew, leading them to Sanji. The original Straw Hat crew fills out the classic 5-man band dynamic pretty well, with Luffy as the leader, Zoro as his lancer, Nami as the smart guy, Sanji as the big guy, and Usopp rounding out the team as the heart. All that setup and party building is necessary for the rest of the story to actually happen, but it takes a full 95 chapters to actually get the show on the road. Of course, that time isn't completely wasted. Nami has a backstory so good that it gets reused 2 more times later in the series, and all 3 of those backstories are leveraged for some excellent storytelling. But 95 chapters is a long time to spend on setup for the actual story. For comparison, let's look at some of the manga that are typically compared to One Piece. Naruto accomplishes its setup and team building in 33 chapters, and by chapter 95 we're already well into a tournament arc that introduces an enormous cast of secondary and tertiary characters. By chapter 95 of Bleach, one of the main characters was in prison awaiting a death sentence while her friends tried to rescue her. Dragon Ball was getting ready to start killing off main characters by chapter 100, and Goku was already more than halfway to meeting God by then. As for more modern shonen manga, My Hero Academia finished its world building and established the dynamic of the main characters in just 11 chapters. It completed its tournament arc by chapter 44, and chapter 95 of My Hero Academia marks the first chapter after an event so cataclysmic that it thrust the world into a new age. Once the Straw Hats enter the Grand Line in search of the One Piece, the story abruptly shifts its focus onto a new character, Vivi. Vivi accompanies the Straw Hats for the rest of One Piece's first 216 chapters, acting as a driving force for the narrative. Vivi is the princess of an island called Alabasta that's currently in the process of being taken over by Sir Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords of the sea. Luffy decides to help her out, leading the crew to head for Alabasta. The only deviation from their course being to pick up Chopper as their doctor to take care of Nami after she gets infected by a disease while being made into a candle on an island where 2 giants have been fighting each other for 100 years. Once in Alabasta, the crew spends almost their entire time walking from one town to another, each time realizing they're in the wrong place. This only ends when Luffy gets bored and decides to just solve the problem directly by punching Sir Crocodile in the face, which admittedly does lead to a very cool set of fights. The problem with Vivi is that she never actually does anything. She doesn't have any fights, she never successfully accomplishes any of her goals, and she's mostly a passive bystander that acts as motivation for the rest of the cast. As with the first 95 chapters, this section of One Piece has some great moments. Drum Island in particular stands out, and it acts as the setup for some great payoffs further down the line. Ultimately, while the fundamentals of One Piece are present from the very beginning, it just doesn't capitalize on its strengths and it's held back by its glacial pacing. The defining feature of early One Piece is its potential, and unfortunately it won't deliver on that just yet. The next video will be about Skypiea, the arc that reached for the stars but crashed into the sea.